Buckle up for AEC Trailblazers, the Founders Files, where we crack open the stories of the brightest minds in the AEC startup scene. Forget institutional pitches. We're diving deep into the real personal journeys of these industry disruptors. Get ready for some casual chats firsthand.
Hello, and welcome everybody to the AC Trailblazers podcast, where we interview the most amazing founders of the AC. Today with us, we have Albert Beaufadel. He's a visionary CEO behind SmartBarrel, the industry-leading solution that uses AI-powered facial verification and solar-powered devices to improve time tracking and streamline labor management on construction sites. With 7 years at the helm, he has scaled SmartBarrel from a field-born startup to a trusted partner of top general and specialty contractors across North America. A former project consultant on complex glass installations, Albert blends hands-on construction experience with technical savvy to drive operational excellence and accountability in the built environment. Albert, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. Did I miss something from your bio?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's not missed, but maybe what's interesting is contractor turned technologist. Maybe I've been doing this for maybe now 6 years. I was a contractor prior to that for more than 10. So I think I still have this history chasing me for a while now.
And it's just interesting that I feel in our industry, when you start a startup, it's really completely different. The amount of technology and like other industries, I don't know, finance. You might work on a bank, you deal with a lot of technology, and then when you start your own startup, you might feel pretty much the same. In our industry, it's like a big jump. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, 100%. It's two sides of the same coin, but sometimes it feels this coin is not even connected one side to the other. They're completely different universes. And I think this also explains why the construction industry hasn't have so much technology story success as much as it should have. And this is why maybe it's lagging. I personally think one of the biggest reasons behind it is you have a lot of technologists building technology solutions for contractors who are working contracting, and the synergy is rarely there. There's a lot of solutions that saw success out of necessity and demand, but really the synergy, the real integration of the solution and the process, it doesn't exist. It's just out of survival. They need to get anything, and then they will make any solution work for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I also think that's different from other industries where in other industries you might do something that's extremely innovative, right? That changes it all. But then companies will buy for it. Like they don't care. They just want to get it. In our industry, I feel that it needs to adapt to the current workflows. Like if it's something even disruptive and completely different, companies might not decide to purchase the software or the hardware or whatever unless they can slowly implement it in the current workflows they have. And I feel that's a really big challenge. I don't know if you feel the same way with
Yeah.
with the industry.
No, 100%. And early on, like we obviously we're like contact founders that have been doing it for a couple of years. They're not that many, and we end up all being in the same pod one way or another. And this is definitely a big number one topic of conversation is adoption, right? Is that like it's crazy? We are using paper, we provide this the great solution, and still it's very hard to convince and da da da. And I think maybe it's a defense mechanism that I have, but I really think it comes from a lot of those contractors being scarred by bad implementation throughout the years, that they are very much kind of repulsed by the idea of disruptive, changing the status quo, blah, 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 because they make the investment, they make the training, and they end up in a worse place than when they were I think you can see it because if you start speaking to a contractor, they have no problem experimenting and spending money. And it's actually, there's no politics. Like compared to other industries, you have a lot of benefits, right? You can get to the owner of the construction company fairly easy. You can get to the CIO, you can get to the COO, the director of corporate. You can reach to those people. There's not a lot of layers and a lot of complexity and a lot of like red tape. It's really, they can look at you, say, I like it, I bought. That's it. The problem is when you start understanding, like in the discovery and the objection handling, you start realizing there's so much PTSD. Like there's so much PTSD. Oh, we tried something that it worked. They promised us that it worked. What about your support? Are you gonna scam me here? Are you gonna overprice me here? Are you? And I'm like, oh my God. Like it's like 10% of the conversation is about the solution, and another 90 is about them vetting if this is valid statement. So it seems like all the time, who else is using you? How many people are using you? What if this? What if that? More than is this gonna fit my process? What's my ROI saving? Like they do this at the beginning, but then the majority of the sales process is really just vetting and proving your worthiness, basically.
That's a really great point. And well, it makes sense, right? Because being a construction, like a general contractor, right? Every project that you have is going to take years, right? So if you implement a tool for a specific project, you might have to use an awful tool for 4 years until you're done with the project and be able to, I don't know, discard the tool or pick a new one. So if you pick the wrong tool, it's extremely painful. So I get it, right? Like you don't want to suffer again, and that's why you make all these questions. And I bet you have gone through these conversations many times, right?
Yeah, and like for us, like for our specific use case, what we do is we do like labor management, right? So basically, what we're providing those contractors is a tool to help them manage their entire workforce. Our main client is specialty trade contractors, so people who really own a big workforce. Think of a concrete contractor, drywall contractor, electrical contractor, the whole MEP stack, yada yada, or even general contractors who have self-performing art, right? So anything that they have workers direct, we do a bit of headcount and daily logs and time management, but really our biggest forte is the people that every 7 days you want to run their payroll, right? So temp agency, direct workers, union workers, you name it. And you start realizing very quickly that in order for our solution to work, they have to implement it across all their workforce. So even it's not a document management tool that if you hate it, you just have to pull your teeth for another 6 months, 8 months, a year. It's really implementing it across your 283 workers and the new workers and the workers getting fired. Yeah, yeah. So if this implementation does not work well, and this is what I say all the time, the loss on the contractor is far greater than the financial, right? Like doesn't matter how much they wrote us a check for. Of course, it's a loss if it doesn't work out and it's horrible. But the biggest problem for them is that now I fought with my foreman, I fought with my superintendent, I implemented technology, I said that's how we do it, went through this whole friction, and then 3 months, 6 months, or a year, I drop it. The cost of a failed implementation is huge, especially in an industry where there's a lot of egos, there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of I'm the jefe, I'm the boss, I know what I'm talking about, and this whole hierarchy, and you start shoving in failed implementation, and you start realizing, I understand now where this PTSD is coming from. And we because I come from the space. Like I'm an insider in the trade. When we first started designing the solution and early conversation that we had with the engineering team internally, there was a lot of those conversations. That's like, no, we cannot test with the people. We cannot have them do reboot. We cannot have this. It has to work from the first time. And a lot of people coming from technology doesn't make sense because like no, you train them, you grow them, they have to like I had an early engineer that kept saying he comes from a retail space and he kept saying they have to learn to use our tool, and I used to say no, we have to learn how they will use the tool. It's the other way around. You have to build something that you just inject it into their world, and the opposite of any claim, you do not disrupt, you do not revolutionize, you don't do nothing, you inject yourself in a process that would cause the least amount of disruption and then have the flow as smooth as possible so they have the appetite to even experiment with you.
Yeah, no, that I think that's a great point. Like devs in general, I run a dev shop, so I know, but like devs in general are, I think, and it's more common every day to like let's just do A/B testing. Let's just experiment a little bit. Let's just do this new thing. And if it fails, we can just roll back.
Revert.
And
Yeah.
I don't think that's something you can do in our industry either. I feel you better do it right once, or you're out.
100%. Yeah, you have no second chance. Uh, and again, it's not because they are not sophisticated. It's not because they're not smart, but like you're selling them a solution that is going to free up their time, free up their resources, make them more money. Like this is the value prop. If it's not doing any of these, like it's a good calculator, it's a good piece of art, it's a good piece of technology, or it's a good hobby, right? But at the end of the day, like AEC tech are tools, right? No matter AI, no AI, they're at the end of tools. They're like a drill, they're like a screwdriver, they're a tool, and they're here to serve a purpose. And most of the AEC technology solutions are here to either optimize the process. So this takes 50 steps, let's make it in 3, or to free up resources, right? This used to take 3 people. Now we can have it done. One person can do all those tasks. This is the name of the game. It's not rocket science what we're doing. So you cannot come with this promise and have the guy test. You cannot come with this promise and have the guy spend time training on your tool. You cannot come with it. So it has to really just work. So think about screwdriver that every day has a different handle. And like at some point, someone's gonna drop it. It's gonna be like, this is too much. Like, I don't understand. You're experimenting, but like I don't have time. Because what's also, I think the other parallel of this universe that a lot of like tech founders also miss somehow. There's this like confusing nuance between the industry having high ticket numbers and their profit. I don't think anyone understands that, like, okay, yes, they might have 50, 40, 80, 100 million revenue, but maybe they're leaving 3-4% net profit margin, right? Like the percentages are tiny, and one oopsie flips your whole project upside down. Like it doesn't take 15 mistakes. There is no, the buffer of error is so small. And it goes through material, goes through labor, it goes through project management, goes through handling. Like 2 months staying extra on the project might cost you the whole profit you thought about from the beginning. Missed material purchasing can cost you, not hedging your material from like just one mistake costs you the whole project to go from green to red. And once you understand the pressure that they live in, you understand why you have no tolerance to your A/B testing and demoing and because they are running on no efficiency. And once you introduce more controlled inefficiencies, they lose them.
No, absolutely. And adding it to that, you have so many more layers. Like for example, financing. Sometimes you get payment late and your margins are extremely thin, and there goes your margin. Or
Yeah.
you don't get enough projects. And in the in-betweens in our industry, it's like something you cannot control, right? It happens to all subcontractors across the industry where you get a project and you don't know when you're going to get the next. And it's not you plan, right? Like I'm going to be done with this and then I'm going to start with this. It's nothing like that. So the in-betweens kills your margins as well. So I get it. It's extremely complex. Even when the projects are big numbers, like the margins are really, really thin. And then just changing gears a little bit, I'm just curious how does the management of the workforce like you guys do affect those margins? Like how can you, because like you said, for sure there is a return on investment, otherwise you would not have clients. But how do you make it a return of investment for your clients?
Of course, and the biggest challenge. So we basically are very like laser focused on the labor part of construction, right? And fortunately, unfortunately, we will see in hindsight, but it's one of the most complicated assets every contractor has. Why is it so complicated? Because to your point that you mentioned earlier, labor is a very complicated asset. First of all, it's humans. Very, very unique demographics we deal with, right? You have young, you have old, you have English speaking, not English speaking, you have different religions, different culture, different ethnic groups, different everything, or melting pot under this umbrella. So first of all, managing it is not like ordering 300 doors of plywood and putting them in a store. Second, it's a fluid cost, right? It's not same thing. If you have 1 month of no project, you can't take 300 people, send them home and say 30 days, I'll call you Monday morning when the job is ready. You have to figure them out. You have to keep paying them. You can reduce your hours. You can adjust as much as possible, but it's very fluid. It's also a very unique type of asset. It's probably one of the few, if not the only asset where the more you use of it, you don't have economy of scale. You get penalized. So if you order 500 doors, they're way cheaper than 100 doors. They're cheaper than 50 doors. Well, if you use 50 workers hours, you pay overtime and double time and you get penalized for it versus if you use only 30. So it's very, very unique asset. And our mission is to help contractors on 4 levels, very basic, without disrupting, without changing anything. We have like AI, we have hardware, the boxes behind me, we have sensors, we have a lot of stuff. But the idea is we try to inject ourselves, replace a paper clipboard, replace a manual process, very, very simple way to basically streamline the process and basically provide value on 4 levels. Level number one is we obviously automate a process. There's a lot of manual moving the data from one to another, makes no sense. There's a lot of automation that can come from the field straight to your payroll software with the least amount of interaction. So this is number one, right? There's a lot of steps, we take them out. Number two is there is a caliber for data accuracy. So forget about automating process. If you're sitting here in Miami and you have one job site in Doral, one job site in Tampa, one job site in Aventura, and you have 30, 40 people, I'm going to shoot very small numbers, and you're getting this information one way or another. How accurate is that information? Is this your cousin giving you this information? Is this someone texting you this information? Is this someone putting it in an Excel sheet on a laptop? How accurate is this? Is it true that you had 15 people work 10 hours yesterday? So the data accuracy is very important because over X amount of people and X amount of hours and X amount of days, weeks, and months, X amount of dollars, X amount of per diem, overtime, double time, it's millions and millions of dollars that you have no way of controlling. So the accuracy is very important. The third one is the time to the data. Like, how long does it take you to get this information? Let's say tomorrow, your guys call you and update you what happened yesterday, or at 6 p.m. they call you. It's very different than you having a monitor where you can look at and see exactly where every worker is at. Why is that very important? You're sitting here in Miami, maybe there's a rainstorm in Sunny Isles, and you know that you have 15 people sitting waiting for the rain to pass because they cannot paint the building. Well, if you see this information in real time, well, you'll move them to Wynwood. You'll move them to Miami Beach. You'll be like, hey, drive now, and I don't have to lose 8 hours times 15 workers. I can save 4 or 5 of them. You need the information in real time. You need to know what's happening. Where are they? Da, da, da. So the time of the information is also very important. And the last one that we actually, at the beginning, contractors don't care about, and after a few weeks of using SmartBarrel, it becomes like a big topic of conversation. There's a culture component. If you're trying to build a team and you want to build this kind of like team morale, team this, you have to introduce accountability system. You have to introduce a transparency system. Any manual process is prone to mistakes, is prone to preferential treatment. So you know what, you like me, you give me extra hours, you don't like him, you cut him off. You know how it is, right? We're human nature. So this culture is going to keep brewing like this. You're going to have people stealing from you. You're going to have people feeling victims. You're going to have people with so much potential under shining because they're being shut down. And we're not saying that once you introduce SmartBarrel, suddenly, papa, everything happens. But there's a big culture shift in saying, hey, this information, I go check in on this box. It takes a picture of my face, and me, my manager, the CEO of the company, that everyone has access to data. Nobody can cheat. No, everyone will know that I show up 15 minutes before my shift. Everyone knows I stay 15 minutes after my shift. Everyone knows that I clock in, I clock out, I report my incidents, I report my cost codes, I report everything on time. And it will show versus the slacking and lacking behavior. It's going to show the people that show up 15, 20 minutes late or not show up or yada, yada. And this data gives me enough confidence as a worker to be, you know what, I like this system. Because if I am someone who tries to steal money, yes, you're going to hate the system, but also we're going to get you out of the system quickly. But then the rest usually are pro a transparent system, are pro an accountable system. They're pro a growing career. Yes, I don't want to be stuck under you. Valentin, I don't know where you're. Maybe you have a bad day today, you cut me hours. I don't know. I want a system that bypasses this bottlenecking that we have in the industry. And this is kind of the fourth value we provide subconsciously also into when they're using our system.
Yeah, it's fair laws for everybody. Like it's the same rules for everybody. Like it's not like you said preferential treatment or like or mistakes, right? how many times you make mistakes when you fill an Excel spreadsheet, and it also takes time. So it makes sense. But I'm also curious. Just want to ask. I think I was a noisy old lady in my previous life, but I'm just curious when what if you can give me a couple of examples when you have implemented SmartBarrel and things that have happened or have changed on projects. No need to say a client or a name of a project, but I'm just curious of what kind of things, besides being everything, everybody avoiding mistakes because it's a centralized system and people can. What are the things, or really life examples of things that have happened to you, and you could say I'm proud because this happened to this client.
No, I mean, I think there's not enough time in this podcast to list many of them. Not all of them impossible, but there's a lot of those stories. But one popped to my head now. We had a client in New York, and they basically used to use paper, but really big client, very successful client, and they do a lot of projects on schools. Irrelevant, but that's what they do. And their manager, everyone has access to smart data, and the data is very clean, very concise. You can see all the information. So one of the managers, Monday morning, calls his director of operations. Actually, he's the president of the company, and says, "Oh, by the way, some people forgot to check out Saturday. I was on the smart data dashboard at like 6 p.m. and 3 people were still active at 8 p.m. and people were still active, like they were still checked in, they didn't check out." So he said, make sure that they are, checking in, checking out. So the director of operations is like, okay, let me go check. So he goes and checks, and he realizes that those people, the two workers that they were talking about, actually pulled a 16-hour shift that day on Saturday because there was an emergency and they do plumbing. There was the emergency and some leakage, and they pulled the whole time till they fix it so the school can open Monday morning. Okay. So actually, it turned out to be a great story. Now, this is quarter of the story. The beauty of the story is that the president Monday afternoon drives to the job site, and while walking on the job site, he was told obviously the story. He sees the two guys, and he calls them by their name, and he comes and he shakes their hand. He said, "Thank you guys so much. That was really impressive what you guys done." So even though this was a simple interaction, because he was able to check the data in real time, because he's seen their faces from the punch in, they were no longer numbers to him. They were here, even though they're his workers, but he has like 600, 800 workers. It's impossible for him to gather. They showed up to him directly from the field, and then he was able to walk in as the president of the company, shake their hands, call them by their first name, and say, "This is an amazing job, guys." I can bet you all the money in the world, this has changed the life of those two workers. The fact that a president, without them doing noise, without them going and doing anything, was able to by himself identify he just won two amazing leaders. They will now be 10 times more loyal, 10 times more dedicated because they know someone cares. And he did care. And now, but you understand that the ripple effect of a small behavior like
Yeah.
this is insane. And how do you calculate the ROI of this? I don't know.
I mean, I feel you cannot even calculate it because you make somebody's people life even better. Not only their work, but even their life. It's just sort of simple action, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just incredible, the amount of things you can do when you have data centralized, and I bet that when you do that, like there's so many other things that you could like even log on a system, right? Like not only when they show up, checking in, checking out, but also what are they doing, how they're doing it, and I don't know if you have ever thought on going that way, or other companies are doing that, or what's your opinion about the in betweens, as well?
Of course. I mean, yes, like check in, check out is just like the 5% of the tool. It's really capturing the sensor information to know exactly who's on your job site without any human interference. Right? This is the starting point. But once you have the data, we have like dozens and dozens of workflows that go through SMS in English or in Spanish that ask you questions, that ask you, prompt you at the checkout, from collecting tasks, from collecting lunch break, for incidents, what customers you've worked on, how much production quantity you've completed. There's a foreman user, there's a PM user, and basically the system is built in a way where you have every worker reporting his own hours, the most easiest way, the most accurate way, and sending all those workflows, timesheet, attendance, daily log, send this data to Procore, send this data to timekeeping. You have all this amazing engine running. But on top of it, there's our workflows that then I say to the foreman, hey, yesterday in your crew, you had 15 people. What did they work on? You fill it out. Then you say, okay, how much quantity you've done? You fill it out. Then you take this data and then you parse it to what was the budgeted one. So you have 15 people and they should have installed 20 doors in 10 hours, but they installed only 18. So you're 2 doors down. So now I can tell you how much you need to do more in the next few days to catch up, and then you more slow down. So there's a lot of like automation on that front that basically takes the whole process outside just the in and out. Is that you have those buckets of hours and you know how much those buckets of hours cost you because everyone has a different rate. There's expenses that come into it, travel expenses, vehicle allowance. There's a lot of money that is spent. I can calculate this very well, but the magic is to match it with an output. I don't care. Like, I care a lot how much everyone's costing me because I want to pay very accurate and easy payroll. Great. But the output is the magical part. Is that how much did this $43,000 a week generate for me? Well, it generated for you 183 doors, 200 square feet painted walls, da, da, da. So you divide those numbers and you compare them how you budgeted the price and how much is left in quantity, and you start having a planner organic. You start understanding, okay, this is when it's gonna be hard to make this job. It's really, I need to do a meeting now, call Valentin and say, hey, what is going on? If you're going to keep doing 18 doors a day and have budgeted 20, after 6 months, we're going to be late a month. So what are we going to fix it? And those are the data points that basically we're kind of compiling, and we say, hey, do you want to check this? Hey, do you want to check this at high level?
No, that's extremely interesting because I feel that like even management people, they all not work the same. They all don't have the same experience. So you might have assigned, a crew that they don't have enough experience and they're going slow just because they have never done it. But that could be a red flag where you can, I don't know, pick someone from another crew and it's like, hey, go help these guys. And I'm just curious in general, given the fact that you have all the data and in real time, right? And we all know that construction projects, most of them, they never finish in time, right?
Okay.
On time. Do you think that with a tool like this, your clients are getting better and better estimates? You get that? You think that's happening, or we're not there yet, where most projects from your clients are actually, finishing on time or almost on time?
We have all those claims, right? We're saving on payroll, we're saving on money, we're finishing better, blah blah blah. We have a great case study on the website that shows how, and it was interesting for us that people were able to win more bids because they have more accurate like production tracking, so they understand really what's their cost per square feet. So when they bid, they're much more competitive. It can be a couple percent, but over millions of dollars makes a big difference, and they're more confident of their rate, so they understand like this is how much production you can do. But construction is very complicated. Construction is very complicated for many reasons, but the top three reasons is that a big part of it is still manual process and humans, right? So like construction is material and humans, and as long as you have humans, which is the engine of this industry, as you said, you have a junior, you have a senior, you have an old, you have a young. There's morale, there's emotions, there's da da da. We are trying to also normalize this as much as possible. But this is bucket number one that we're trying to really put as much intelligence on top of it. Bucket number two, and I don't know how it's kind of like missed, and all those like startups trying to throw AI and projections and predictive analytics, which is crazy to me because every job site is like an MVP. You finish the project, take all the learnings, throw in the garbage, go to the next project, start all over. There are some transferable knowledge, of course, but the majority of the job site has its own challenges, whether where you want to store the material, how you're going to bunk the job, how you're going to sequence it. This one has the curve, so I know we can install panels very quickly like this, but when it gets to a curve, again, very complicated. And this one has the HVAC system different than the other HVAC system, so it's going through my walls differently. And then you'd really start realizing that every job site is a big MVP. You're working with people you never worked with before. You're working with teams you never worked with before. The job site layout, structure, parking, deliverability is completely new. And somehow you have one deadline and you have to finish it. And then you do it. And then you go to another one, start all over. Work with different trades you've never met before, work with different crewmates you never worked before, different installation, different challenges, different bunking, different setup. Oh, this building is circular, now this building is rectangular. This building, we need to finish floor 4 to 8 first and then go down to the lobby, blah, 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 blah. So once you take all these into consideration, you need one variable to change to derail all your model, right? Because if one variable changed, then it's completely different presets of conditions. And what we're trying to do is extract as much as possible how much commonality we have to deduct some assumptions. But we cannot have a full projections because the starting point is that it's a new job site, it's a new MVP. And also,
Yeah, no. I agree. I mean, even if, let's say, you build a specific building, and you have to build the exact same building next to it,
yeah, AB.
it's the exact same layout. Like, so many things are gonna change, and you're gonna say, well, but it's the same building. Yes, it's the same design, but it's a different place. Even if it's next to the other one, it's like new people, new so many things. Like even suppliers. Some suppliers might go bankrupt. Like so many things can happen from one project to the other, right? It's just
Even
insane.
I mean, like, listen, I adore construction. Like, if after tech, I'll go back to construction. I really love it. I have soft spot for it. Mainly glass and glazing was my baby, and I like love it. I still love it. Like window wall crypto. Like I just love the space. Um, there's a project where it's tower AB, and the architect copy pasted the AutoCAD from A to B. It's identical. You understand? Like identical windows, opening, units, numbers, level. Literally, there's a north tower and a south tower. They are AB. And we finished A, and B had nothing to do with A because A became residential. People were living in it. So suddenly we are working on a job site that has residential access, residential curfew, and operating marina. The delivery of the material was a nightmare. The crane operation was a nightmare. All sorts of safety issues. So even though we should have moved twice as fast in B, we moved half as fast because the level of navigating around the residential area, you couldn't keep your truck for hours. You couldn't have the crane running lower. You couldn't work longer hours. You couldn't work after before 9 a.m. You couldn't work after because a few feet after you, next to you, there's a school bus and there's people standing by the pool and blah, blah, blah. So in theory, you have A and B and you copy paste. You should have moved maybe 20% faster, 30% faster. Every objection you had dealt here is solved. And we moved, I think, 30 or 40% slower because of all the constraint that had by just having one variable. Oh, by the way, building A is now occupied. And go deal with all the occupied. There's a fire marshal, there's training, everything, because it's one entrance. And now the trucks had to be washed before going in because you cannot create mud on all the other places that are. And this added, and it was so maybe an experienced PM. I would have seen it. I didn't see it. It was a shock to me that I thought we were gonna fly on this job because now I know it by heart. I know every floor, I know every story, I know every unit, and it was slower for us, and it blew my mind. And then I realized, yeah, it's very, very hard.
It's just insane. It's just one variable, but
Yeah,
it all, and that's
yeah,
just one thing. Like always, things change because time happens, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Like you cannot predict exactly. You can get an approximation. There's going to be a good approximation, but that's it. There is no way because even weather, like weather can happen in a
yeah.
construction site. You cannot
Hurricanes, yeah,
hurricanes and who knows what else can happen, fire, like so many things can happen, so there's no way to estimate. It's not like a factory, right, where you produce a car and you know
yeah, yeah.
exactly the time it takes to produce a car because it, it's even made by robots. But even if you, let's say we don't have the
Even
people,
with
we only
people,
have robots, even we,
yeah,
yeah, even if we don't have people, the construction side is
yeah.
it's a new thing. Outdoors. It's like I think it's the most complex industry. I think the only one that can be compared to what we do is I don't know spaceships or something like that, where like it's something new. You have to go to Mars. Nobody has ever done it, and it's a new project. And but the rest of the industries they don't have to deal with the stuff we deal. It's just insane. But that's what
That's
makes it
so,
fun.
yeah. No, yeah, that's what's amazing. And then what I personally in my experience realized is when I dove into the tech world, when you're building a technology platform, it's similar. It's an MVP, right? We're continuously building a huge MVP, right? I'm not building the software twice. I'm not building it 5 times. Same thing. New features all the time. You have to do the product, the investigation, release it, da, 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 and do it all over again and again and again. But then I start learning a lot on how it works in tech and start seeing what can we implement in tech, because you have a lot of things in tech that's been proven, right? So stock options. Why do you care about stock options? Well, people want to feel accountable, want to feel ownership. Okay, so we cannot create stock options on job site, but can we create an incentive plan where workers feel they belong? What's also very common in any tech startup or company, where there's so much more communication than you can imagine. I mean, that was the first thing. In construction, you go, you do your task, and you focus on your task, and you do nothing. You don't know the financials of the company. You don't know the goal of the company. There's no mission for the company. There's no mission for the project. There's no communication whatsoever. You huddle on safety, you do jumping jacks, toolbox, and get to work. Well, no. Well, let's introduce communication tools. Let's introduce syncing tools. Let's introduce visibility. Let's do shout outs. You know what? Great job today. Good job. Let's give you awards. And recognitions between your peers. So we took a lot of this technology and tried to see, okay, how can we build them in a way where, again, no disruption, we fit the mold, we are in the flow, we're improved, but start building those kind of visibility, transparency. You know what? This guy's doing great. Kudos to you, man. That's amazing. Like, you guys are pulling long hours. You guys saved the job, and build this kind of like culture, because I cannot control building A, building B. I cannot control the units. I cannot control the supply chain issue. I cannot control the GC not paying us and screwing me for a bit. I cannot control a hurricane coming in the Atlantic Ocean. I cannot control a lot, but I can control building good morale. I can control building good teamwork. I can control, but you cannot build these with no data. I cannot, because in 5, 10 people inside the room, you can build this relation. But if you have 30, 40 people in one project and you have 5 projects, as the company owner, you cannot. There's so many data points that your brain cannot A, realize, and B, compute. So you need software to digest all this. And the data has to be clear enough to where it's pointing you in the right direction. And this is kind of our ultimate mission, is that can we build an engine that is all the time trying to say, you know what, you have 300, 400, 500 workers, or maybe you're a PM and you're only overseeing 80 workers. Let me help you digest it. Let me make you a better leader. Let me tell you who are the good workers, who are the bad, and how to manage them, how you should go communicate with them. Don't go and yell and scream, because it might work on 1 out of the 15 doing bad, but other, you're going to lose them. So those are methodologies to adopt. And you see it in tech. We're really like copy pasting a lot of those, like very well one-on-ones, case and meeting, PID, blah, blah, blah. Why not introduce them in construction? What's wrong with it? You know?
No, absolutely. And on that line, I'm curious what's coming for SmartBarrel in, I'm not gonna say 10 years, because who knows if Earth is gonna be here in 10 years, but I don't know, 3, 5 years, what's coming in the future for you guys?
Our entire vision and mission is for any contractor, whether you have 5 workers or 5,000, to basically use SmartBarrel for all workforce related matters, from hiring to firing and everything in between. And basically, this whole journey is going to be pre-guided for you. This is how many workers you're going to need. This is the workers that you should get. This is the workers that you should keep. This is the workers that you should train. This is the workers that you should get rid of. This is the PM that you should promote. This is the foreman that you should promote. This whole asset class, we're going to build as many tools as humanly possible to basically streamline this experience for you, where the software and the data points are so evolved and accurate that they're basically giving you all the insights you need outside the dashboard, outside the graph, not for you to parse it, for us to parse it for you. And then give you kind of like a very, very powerful HR guru assistant that would basically walk you through this very, very complicated asset class. And that would be like our goal.
That would be amazing. I bet so many companies are gonna be excited about a tool like that. And I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take too much of your time, Albert. But before we say goodbye to each other, can I ask for a couple of ping pong questions?
Of course.
All right. Can you tell me what do you think is going to be the next big trend in the AC?
Data collection.
All right. If you could collaborate with any person in history, which person would you choose?
I don't know about history. I'm very intrigued about Elon Musk. I really have no idea how this guy can do so much in 18 hours or 20 hours days. It blows my mind.
Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
blows
Um,
my mind. So,
and if you could say a great AC software besides Small Barrel
yeah.
in the industry.
I don't know about great because they all serve different purposes, but I think one that the industry owes a lot to is definitely Procore. They basically carved the way for cloud computing. They basically opened the whole um, dream for people to start tech software and be a unicorn in this space. I think before that, they were all big Oracle legacy systems. And they're the ones who really build this kind of like brand, full brand, hit brand, marketplace integrations, cloud based, da da da. So I think we owe them a lot. We really like piggyback on a lot of what they had to educate the market and introduce the iPad and the app and this, and now we're like sneaking behind them. So I think I have respect for that.
They changed the market. That's true.
Yeah.
Um, and last but not least, what's your favorite building in the world?
I just flew back from San Francisco and I was walking around the Salesforce Tower, which probably my nerdy glass person, I think it's a phenomenal, mind-blowing, really like curtain wall project that's very, very interesting building. I don't think it's favorite in the world. I've been mind blown by Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It's very hard for your brain to understand how tall the building is. But the San Francisco Tower was like a marvelous glass structure for sure.
Cool. That's a good choice. And finally, can you tell everybody where they can know more about either Small Barrel or where they can contact you as well?
Of course. The easiest way to contact me would be on LinkedIn, Albert Boufadel. You find my profile and the business, it's smartbarrel.io. I know it's not .com, it's .io because we're cool and we're tech.
Absolutely. All right, man. It was great to have you on the show, Albert, and thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge about construction. And I wish you the best for Small Barrel in the future.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. That was a lot of fun.
A pleasure. Hope you have a great day. All right.
You too.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thanks to our listeners. If you like this content, you can find past and upcoming episodes in ascworks.everse.com and at all of our Everse social media. We'd love to hear from you and recommendations for new content, so leave us a DM and we'll make sure to catch it.